How goes it? Welcome to Team Kids Reviews. Let's review Glow. Not that Glow, that Glow. Because there are actually two different versions of Glow. One of them being a documentary and one of them actually being the TV series that I will be talking about. Well, TV series? Series. It's a Netflix series. So Glow follows the inception of the Glorious Ladies of Wrestling from casting all the way through till the shooting of the first episode of it and then kind of the airing. It ends just as it airs. Just showing you exactly how bad the original shoot was. This show focuses mainly around the main character Ruth, who is played by Alison Brie, but a lot of the show is also based around Ruth and Debbie's interactions with each other, who are friends when the show first starts and stuff progresses and they end up both being on the show together. They're both cast as basically the two main leads in it, so they will be the main person who's supposed to win and the main person who's supposed to lose. Because as we all know, wrestling is fake, yes. You've heard it here first, I know. So you know that somebody is supposed to win and somebody is supposed to lose. This show is also a comedy, so it is quite funny, but it manages to tackle some pretty hard issues as it goes on. Things like adultery and if I say anything else, I kind of get into spoiler territory. So let's just say that they tackle hard life issues in this show. But I can say that I actually really enjoyed this Netflix show. I really like Alison Brie as an actress, and in this show she plays another actress who's kind of a mediocre actress trying to get work, who's trying to overact. So it's not necessarily actorception, but it also kind of is at the same time. So Alison Brie, I think, is a good actress, and she's trying to play a mediocre actress who thinks she's better than she is, and so she overacts everything, which is comical in and of itself, I guess. So yes, it is a comedy, but it also has quite a lot of drama, again, mainly from the main two characters in it, with stuff that happens that I can't really talk about because, again, spoiler territory. But yeah, very interesting to watch. I didn't necessarily understand exactly everything that went into wrestling, as I'm not a big wrestling fan myself, but watching this show, you do get that kind of backstage look into how everything's created and how they set up the shows so that they can go on and, you know, who's going to win, who's going to lose, you know, starting with the smaller thing, moving to the big things and creating these massive rivalries between different characters that the different actresses are playing so that you get more people watching so that it can go on. And obviously they've got to try settle this up in one episode, which is the main story arc of the series. So they're trying to settle these different characters up so that they have all these different arch rivals to make people want to watch more episodes of this thing, of this pilot that they're trying to make. So I've talked a lot about Alison Brie, but all the other characters, all the other actresses and actors do really well in this. I don't think there's anything in it that I thought and looked at and went, that's really bad acting. I think everybody did a really good job. There's a lot of corny moments in this, but I guess it is wrestling. I do wish that the wrestling looked a little bit more realistic, I guess. I mean, I know it's all fake, and I know it's supposed to be fake, but the way that they show it, because they have people starting out who have never done wrestling before, and as they move through the series, they get better at it, and they train, and they're supposed to be able to set up these really good interactions with each other, but everything still looks really fake by the end of the show, and I think that that's the one downside of it, is even though you've got all these interesting characters, and they're all doing really well, that's the one downside of it. I think everything outside of the wrestling is generally hilarious, and watching the wrestling is pretty hilarious, but I don't know, I think that was probably what they were trying to do. They were trying to make it look really fake, but I just wish that it had kind of been a payoff at the end to watch them train through the entire series, get to the end, and show how awesome it all looks, because when you watch real wrestlers in the arena nowadays, it doesn't really look that fake. Like, I mean, there are moments where you go, yeah, that looks kind of fake, but they're connecting, they're doing everything, and in this show, they don't really do that. Some of it just still looks a little corny and a little cheesy, but it does add to, I guess, the life of the show. So all in all, the show is funny, it's cheesy, it's corny, it tackles hard life issues, and it's got a pretty diverse cast of people coming in, and they all interact with each other really well. So let's talk what's in it. I should probably start off by mentioning the show is in fact rated MA. That is a TV MA, which I'm not entirely sure is different to movie MA. It might be. I'll have to look that up. I watched the trailer for this before I actually went into it, and that's why I really wanted to watch the show, and I saw Alison Brie was in it. I'm like, boom, let's watch it, Alison Brie. I grew up with Alison Brie. Well, grew up is probably not the right term, because I'm or was already pretty old when I was watching it. Community. I fell in love with Alison Brie on Community, as I did with all the characters on Community, and if you watch Community, you'll know why, because you fall in love with all the characters. So in Community, Alison Brie's character is a young girl. She's very uptight and everything in it, and then you come into this show. Obviously, she's done a lot of stuff in between Community and this, but it starts off in the first episode, very early on. They're in a girl's locker room after having a gym session, and her friend makes a comment about the fact, oh, you're getting changed in the gym or in the locker room. And it's like, I didn't think you did that. And she's like, oh, I'm not a little girl anymore, and just rips her shirt off. And I just kind of went, okay, so that's nudity. Cool. Why exactly? And that kind of continues through the first episode. The next part is then there is a sex scene. Again, Alison Brie has her shirt off, but then it doesn't follow anything like that after the first episode. So there's nudity and there's a sex scene. It's kind of short-lived and everything else, and it's very awkward. But that's how the show runs. Everything in it is a bit awkward, but it doesn't happen after the first episode. It's almost as if they only put it in the episode or in the first one to try and engage more people who just want to see Alison Brie's boobs, so that they'll keep watching the rest of the show. I think the show's good enough by itself that probably wasn't necessary, but I mean, when you got to compete with things like Game of Thrones, then yeah, I guess you have to throw it in there, but it is a little bit disappointing that you will alienate an entire group of people who don't want to watch the show simply because that is in there. There is also quite a lot of swearing, F-bombs, C-bombs, generally referencing to where women are getting punched while the show's going on. I don't necessarily like the word myself, neither does my wife, but we were fine with it in the show. The couple times that it's mentioned, again, generally pretty early on. But most of the show, the rest of the show, you just got to look out for the F-bombs, of which there are quite a few, generally from certain characters. They've created certain characters to be swearing all the time, basically. So there are certain characters that do that. So if that is the kind of thing that you're not into, then this show is probably not for you. Which leads me to say, more than likely, I would not recommend this to my parents. I know what my parents like to watch, and this is unfortunately not it. I think that everything surrounding the show, or everything that the show is built on, is actually really good. I just can't recommend it to anybody of a religious background, because the stuff in it is just a little bit too much. So, Glow, the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. Have you seen it? Tell me what you think of it. Feel free to comment down below. If you like the content, feel free to like and or subscribe. But otherwise, I shall see you guys next time.